Hey everybody, Paintmarine back with another status report. It's the end of another month, so time to kind of recap things that have been happening. First off, as you see, I got the logo here in my shirt, Keep Calm and Hobby on. So the first prints of the shirts went out, and I got mine and love it. It's definitely good quality, really like it, so it's nice to have that. And also, the page is now at over 800 likes, which is awesome. I was at about 806 on the old page. For some of those that remember, I had to switch over to this new page after I had gotten that nicely worded letter from GW, because originally, for those that don't know, I went by the Techmarine and had my Facebook page and everything as such, and of course, because those are copyrighted materials, and as I had to seek some legal advice because I wasn't really sure, because I've heard people say this before. It's like, well, they can't copyright Space Marine and they can't copyright Orcs and Eldar and all those terms. And while yes, that is technically true, they also technically can. And what I mean by that is, the way it was explained is pretty much, if you are using those terms in direct relation to what they're doing, where there's an obvious connection, then no. Now, if I had my own line of miniatures and stuff like that, and it was like even a different game or a board game or even just a group of books, and I had a species in there called Eldar, like the Lord of the Rings and or Orcs or whatever, like. Yeah, even if I had a sci-fi novel, kind of like Starship Troopers and stuff like that, like, they have Space Marines and, mobile infantry, but, you know what I mean? If there's, like, other sci-fi books that are out there that have what they call Space Marines. Yeah, so, unfortunately, because I'm technically, I'm a kind of a business, like I said, so it's a very part-time, just kind of a case-by-case, mostly, just trying to share the work that I do and build the community. But anyway, because there is some potential for monetary gain, it could be seen as they were endorsing the product, or I had permission to use their copyrighted materials and such. So anyway, long story to a short end, name change, logo change, which I think to the better, because now it's a little more original, and I have my original logo now too that was done. But yeah, so back to where I had left off at, essentially, because I had to abandon the old page because Facebook wouldn't let me change the name. It was really like this whole confusing loop-de-loo about that. So I had to make a whole new page and start off from scratch, essentially. And I put a post up on the other one while it was still up, and I know some people kind of came over, but I know there was quite a few that didn't. And that's just, it is what it is. So, but it's nice to be back up there so I can reach more people and hopefully share more of my hobby adventure. And if anybody has any other, suggestions or tips for things for me to do, I'd be happy to do them and show. So, yes, 800 plus likes, and continue. It's 200 likes away from 1,000, and if I get to 1,000 one day, I'll be extremely happy. Like, I don't really have any set goal. I need these many likes or anything. It's just kind of nice that I can reach out to people and share my experiences and my hobby with everybody, and help to promote what we do. So I got my whole list here of things to talk about. Next up, Armies on Parade. So this first week right now has kicked off, and it's the Age of Sigmar week. Now, I'm not really sure, they've been doing these week-long things, which I don't know if other games workshops are doing events or stuff during that week that build up to, Saturday seems to be the big bring in your armies and people come in and vote. But I don't know, I know the one that I'll be going to, it seems to just primarily be the Saturday at the end of the week, so the 28th is going to be the parade day for Age of Sigmar, and then November 4th for 40K next week. So I don't know. But I'll be participating in the 40K week, so next week. So I still have about a week and a half to finish, and I'm still, I've got a lot of things going on in my life, and so I've got a big juggling, of everything going on. So it'll be down to the wire. essentially. I've got all the models that I wanted to take at least done. Of course, I would love to have more things. Like unfortunately, I've got like a squad of aggressors that would have been nice to have painted up to take, but I just the timing of everything and. So now I'm just focusing on getting the terrain done. I had to cut the turrets that I originally had planned off of the board because there's again time. But I got like the main components, and maybe in the end it'll be better that I don't have the turrets on there. It might have just got too cluttered in the end. So I don't know. I think it'll still be good. Like I said, this year is I don't know. I don't know. I hope I place because they're doing it so differently this year. It's really there's 3 categories for both Age of Sigmar and 40K. However, there's really only 2 because one of those categories is Youngbloods, which I think that's awesome because you get a lot of those younger players and their painting skills maybe not be up there. They don't have the access to money like older people with jobs and stuff do. So it's nice that they have their own category to compete in and be able to actually get something from it other than just like showing up and getting crushed by all these adults. Like, I mean, that can be demoralizing for anyone. So I'm glad they have that. And then the other 2 was, I don't know, Best Theme was one, and I can't remember the other one now. But there's not like a Best Overall or anything like that. No, I can't remember what it is. If I have a chance at anything, I guess it would probably be Best Theme because of my unique theme of my army. Which, for the record, I get everybody sees that they're the Buzz Lightyear colors and Buzz Lightyear, Buzz Lightyear, Buzz Lightyear, and they're like Toy Story. So they're always like, oh, where's Woody and where's all these? And I get that's everybody's first thing. And while not wrong, technically, my homebrew Star Commanders chapter is based on the cartoon that came out for a while called Buzz Lightyear of Star Command. Now, some people may be familiar with this or not. They did have like a standalone movie that came out that was Buzz Lightyear of Star Command, The Adventure Begins, and then there was like a Saturday morning cartoon that they had after that was, I don't know, like 3 or 4 seasons. And it was really great. Like I was younger, I was a kid watching it, and like I don't know, I thought it was awesome. So there's like a team of 4. So you have Buzz Lightyear, who's the lead, obviously, and then Mira Nova was kind of like his rookie second in command. She was, what was her species? I can't remember now. Tardarian, I think, or I don't know. But she was like blue, not Tau, but she was blue and had like red hair, and she could phase through like solid objects and stuff like that. And then there was Booster Sinclair Munchapper. Yeah, that's his full name. And he was, I can't remember what his alien was called. He was like this big, giant red alien and had these giant jetpacks. And then there was XR, who was a robot ranger, and it stood for Experimental Ranger, XR. So those are what my army's based on. There's other characters in there too that Buzz Lightyear's old partner that betrayed him, Warp Dark Matter, and the commander of Star Command, Commander Nebula, are also noted characters in that series. And I say that because in my army I have all the characters in there. So I have a Redemptor Dreadnought that I've done up as XR. One of the Incessor Jump Pack Sergeants is my Booster Sinclair guy. I let the Munchapper off. I just call him Sergeant Sinclair because it sounded more 40K. Anyway, so I have him as that, and then I also decided that like all of those support roles will have red helmets to simulate because he was a red alien. So I have him and XR. Then I have Buzz Lightyear. I did as a lieutenant. He was the first one I did and converted up. I used some old Raven Wing, their little staff on the back of their bikes to do as kind of like his jump pack wings kind of coming out. And then Mira Nova, I did as an apothecary. So all I really did is just did a blue, like it was more of a blue-gray helmet for that character and just called it Apothecary Nova. And then what are they called? I don't remember now. the Reavers, the Primaris Reavers. I did them in a dark purple because Warp Dark Matter betrays Buzz and then becomes that. And plus, I figured Reavers should be a little more stealthy than white armor. So I have their Sergeant is Sergeant Dark Matter, and then all the Reavers are in like a dark purple armor because that's what he ends up wearing when he becomes Agent Z, is what he later becomes known as. So I have those characters, and then Commander Nebula I have as the Captain in Gravis armor. And then recently, let me grab it real quick. I have my Chapter Master Andreos, which that is a Toy Story reference to Andy, since he, was playing with the toys. I thought, well, the Chapter Master, he commands the units to go everywhere, so that's why I named him that. And all right, here we go. Here he is, and maybe the light. Maybe turn that light off. Maybe it'll be. You can kind of see it focus. Maybe I'll get out of the way. Anyway, you can kind of see it there. I've got pictures on the site, so most people can see this. I know I've been catching a lot of flack, and good and bad comments. The biggest thing is most people do not like how big the sword is. Now, I would say, I don't think it looks all that bad in person. Like, it may seem still pretty huge, but I don't know. I like it. I wanted something that, really makes my Chapter Master stick out, aside from his Iron Halo backpack, because it's in the profile, but the model didn't have an Iron Halo on it. And so I'm calling this the Phoenix Halo because it's got that. And then the blade is the Infinity Blade, because, to infinity and beyond, right? And the logo, or the chapter icon, is actually going to be like a sword with kind of not Dark Angel like, but a sword with wings coming up, and then there's a star at the top because they're the Star Commanders. So the idea of like the wings coming around and the sword, like they are in command of the stars. But then also kind of a cool thing is because it symbolizes these chapter relics and their thing, the Phoenix Halo, the Infinity Blade. And so it's like the wings, and the halo here is the star, and then the blade, obviously. Or you could even say like the blade, the weapon itself, is the Space Marines. So I kind of like that, how it kind of plays all together and fits in my chapter lore. Also, originally, part of my chapter lore, because I like the idea of Call using the Trader Marines as well, was the fact that now people could say, oh yeah, well these are actually loyalists, whatever. And I've always liked Alpha Legion, so I was like, well, you know what? My guys are going to be a secret kind of Alpha Legion. So when the Codex came out, I was like, well, what chapter tactics would suit what, loyalist Alpha Legion? So I went with Raven Guard. So, when I play games, they're Raven Guard successors, because then I can use those chapter tags and everything. But then later, when the Chaos Codex came out, I was very pleased to see that Alpha Legion had mirrored rules. So essentially, I had picked in similar rules for them. So I thought it was nice to see that, just so that way I can properly emulate. These are secretive loyalist Alpha Legion, in my little background fluff that I got all up in my head here. Is that they're loyalist Alpha Legion. Nobody knows it. Everyone kind of is a little suspicious about them because they don't really let that known. But yeah. So that's a little more info on kind of the idea, where is my chapter from. I know a lot of people, when I first started the project, they all oh, this is just a troll army, you're just whatever, because there's a meme that was going around when the Primaris first came out that somebody had photoshopped up the colors of Buzz on there. And I don't know, I initially saw that and I was like, that's not too bad. I've changed around where the color placement was. I didn't do it exactly like that meme. I followed more along the lines of where the colors were actually on Buzz Lightyear's spacesuit and stuff, and the characters from the Star Commanders from the show. But anyway, and then everyone else is like, well, they should be called the Space Rangers chapters. Well, yes and no. You could, but the reason why I didn't go that route is because they're Space Rangers of Star Command. So it's these guys are Space Marines of the Star Commanders. And then also in my like fluff, like if you don't have like a rank or anything, instead of like just being like a basic Space Marine or a trooper or whatever they call it, like the basic rank is Ranger. So it brings that into the fluff as well. So like my basic, guns on the line guys or just or not like troopers, or troops or Marines, they call each other Rangers. And then as they get up, then you start getting like sergeant, lieutenant, commander, all that stuff. But I thought that was nice, kind of like, bringing in that way. And anyway, so all right, so I'll leave that as it is. Coming up, let's see. The bookshelf has gone well. I've finished off the Far Side books, and I'll have that review coming up soon. It'll probably be up about the same time as this video goes up. Patreon, I still haven't decided on that yet. I mean, I will probably end up doing it. It's just I need to get to doing it. And really, I most likely will have one, maybe two options of like people can donate $1 a month or maybe two at the most. Will be like $1 or $2 will be the two options. And again, like the only reason for that is just again to help kind of gain funds so I can get models and paints and things so I can do more projects and do more things that people would like to see. Because like I said, like fortunately I have a pretty high demanding full-time job, and so I really have to split hair. Plus I have family and 3 kids running around, so it's like it takes a lot to find the time to do these. Like a lot of times I'm doing these videos in the small time I have in between getting home from work and the kids getting home from school, or I'm doing them after they've gone to bed to late hours of the night, and then I still have to get up really early and work. So, but yeah, so really, I mean, I'll put it up. I don't really have any certain expectations. I obviously am not trying to pay my bills with it. I really would just like it so I can pick up different models and try different things and share it with you guys, and we can, discover different techniques and ideas and get there. And, maybe if you see me do it, then you don't can see what works and what doesn't work, and then you don't have to, spend the money. Maybe I can help you save money by making mistakes for you ahead of time or making the right mistakes anyway. So speaking of those and projects and things, I just got a squad of the Acadian shock troops in, which is awesome. Everyone's like, oh, well, Astra Militarum bandwagon, it's the new strongest codex. Well, that's not what I'm using it for. I posted up the picture and a few people had guessed, and then, I have to turn on my computer. Who was it? I can't remember now. I'm sorry, I can't remember, but someone guessed it right. Essentially, so they're going to be, is it Guvesa? Excuse me if I don't pronounce that right. Guvesa or Guvesa, however. But yeah, so that's my plan, because I'm going to be taking a little break after Armies on Parade on painting Space Marines in white. That takes a lot of time. Because I still got a lot to paint with my Star Commanders too. Like I mentioned, I've got aggressors. I got a box of Reavers that aren't even put together. I've got Hellblasters of both the heavy and the assault, full 10-man groups. I've got assault bolt rifles and stalker bolt rifles, both 10-man squads I need to paint as well. They're all put together. I just need to get them painted. But like I said, that's like 30-something, 40 troops still that need to get painted. But I need a break from that. And I think everyone else needs a break. As great as everyone likes the Star Commanders, I'm going to take a step back for a little bit, and I'm going to get back to my Tau. It's been over a year since I've worked on them, so I'm going to work on them some more. And one of those I really want to differentiate, like my Fire Warrior strike teams. So right now I only have one Fire Warrior with the pulse rifles, and then one with the breacher, or the breachers, I should say, with the pulse blaster. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a squad of this Guvesa with pulse rifles, and then I'm thinking about doing another version with the pulse blasters, but these won't be Guvesa. I'm thinking of actually using the I can't remember what they're called now. They're called Lizardmen. Before in Warhammer Fantasy, they're like Seraphon now. In Age of Sigmar, I was thinking about using them and kind of converting up a squad of them as like a different alien race, but having them be more like the close combat with the pulse blasters. Um, I've got one squad of 5 Vespid that I had done a while ago, but there's a pretty cool conversion kit bash type of thing I've seen using these really awesome looking jetpack from Puppets of War. If you can find that, I think it's puppetsofwar.eu. They have some really cool jetpacks, and then modify the pulse blaster, and to make it look like the little, I don't remember what they call it. Is a pulse disruptor. I can't remember, but it's a pretty cool conversion. So I'll probably do a squad of them to add to my Vespid. And just continuing them. I've still got to finish up my Farsight 8. My Farsight, my converted one that I had done with a Cold Star suit, he's completely finished. I finally got around to him. I might do a few more edge highlight things here and there, but for the most part, he's done. Completed his base and had a minute trying to figure out what to do as far as I had a Space Marine casualty, like what chapter to do. I ended up going with Ultramarines and 8th Company Marine, so he has a gray shoulder pad trim. Reason for that was because I think it was Blades of Damocles. He almost gets assassinated by some 8th Company Marines. So I thought that'd be fitting. I did want to do Scar Lords because I was reading the Crisis of Faith at the time, and the Scar Lords are featured in that, saying that they were at the Damocles Crusade, and then also in that book they were in there. But I couldn't find a good description of their armor, and I was painting it while I was reading that, so I finished it, and then like later on in the book you find out what their color scheme is, and I was like, alright, well, whatever, it's too late. Plus, I put snow on the base, and their primary armor is white, and so probably would have blended in too much anyway, so I think it worked out anyway, going the Ultramarine route, because, nobody likes the poster boys, right? Let's see. Oh, the other exciting thing was that the post of my chapter master it's gotten multiple likes on various places where it's shared. It's the most liked, most shared, and most reached post I've had yet. Even with the old page, it's the furthest reached I've had. Last I saw, it was at like 46,000 people had reviewed it, which is huge. Like, that's amazing. I'm very happy with that, and it's great that people are liking it, sharing it, and commenting on it. Oh, let me backtrack again. I forgot. The one thing about the Infinity Blade, my other, as I call it, fluff explanation, is that it's not a corporeal blade. It's not actually like a physical blade. It is like an arcane, which means unknown, witchfire. It's a relic of the chapter, and when it's not on, it's just the hilt. So essentially, it's a 40k lightsaber. But when activated, it comes out, this bluish green flame comes out, and essentially for game reasons, it'll be used as like the burning blade. But that's why, this giant sword can be wielded with ease by this Space Marine, and the sword is twice his size or whatever. That's my fluff explanation, as I like to say. So if anyone's curious again, like, oh, well, how could he even lift it up? Like, I got that, or like, how does he even put that into his hilt? It'll drag on the ground. Well, because when he puts on his hilt, all it is the sword hilt. I'm sorry, not his hilt, his belt. I mean, it's just the sword hilt just on there. So that's how. You can explain anything through the fluff. So anyway, the next, or I guess the final thing now, which I'm excited, it was finished. Many have seen I had done the conversion of a Primaris captain and Gravis armor as Ragnar Blackmane, and that was for Brand's Army, or Brand's Great Company, which is a Facebook group that started for Brand, who is a 12-year-old boy in the UK right now, fighting the fight against cancer. And so the community came together and made this group. I think it was his uncle started it, and because he's a huge Space Wolf fan, and people have been coming together to build this army, and volunteering their time, their models, and painting and sending them out. And so I did that conversion. Now, I'm not a Space Wolf player or a Space Wolf fluff reader, and then I've got a lot of comments. A lot of people liked the conversion and everything and thought it was awesome, but the main complaint I got from actual Space Wolf fans is, oh, Ragnar Blackmane is blonde, not black. And I'm like, okay, well, sorry, I just went off with a paint job that Games Workshop did. Like if you go to his character right now, character model that they have, they painted him with black hair, and a lot of artwork that you can find, he has black hair. So I guess as far as fluff accuracy, whoops. But as far as that accuracy, he's good to go. I mean, obviously he'd have to be played as just a Captain Gravis anyway, because Ragnar isn't in Gravis armor. So that being said, I thought it was a cool conversion, and either way, like I hope Brand gets enjoyment out of it. It's on its way across the pond right now, but I have no idea how long that's going to take for it to get to him. But yeah, it was a very I really liked doing that project. It was fun because it's different, it's not normal, and it's obviously it's for a great cause, and it's just another way to share the hobby and support each other as we struggle through just daily life in general. There's all kinds of things that happen, and no matter how bad our day can get, you just nice reminder just to know that it can always be worse, and for some people it is. And so if we can help each other out in any way, I think that's important. So that's it for this status report for now. I'm gonna keep updating, trudging along for other videos. Like I said, I've got the Farsight bookshelf will be coming out. Then I've got Shroud of Night. There's a ton of new books coming out that I'm excited for. There's like another collection of Space Marine stories coming out in a paperback book soon that has Permanent has a Primaris Space Marine on the cover, so I don't know if there'll be some new Primaris centric stories in there, but that'll be fun. I have the Word Bearer Logar. The Word Bearer is a new Primarch. Was it Fulgrim? I think how you say it. The Emperor's Children Primarch. That book's coming out too. Just lots and stuff coming out. Videos. I was gonna try to do a tutorial on like how I do my white armor. I can do that. I kind of filmed it, but I don't know if I may throw it up. It's not traditionally how I like to do. I would have liked to do a little bit more like shown, but I figured it would have been really boring. I didn't want it to be too long, so really I kind of just showed the model in between each step and explained what I did. So I'll put it up. I'd love feedback if people like that, if they want to, or if they actually want to see like me sitting there with the model and like, okay, here I am edge highlighting, and then do a couple, and then cut back to it, kind of like Duncan does on Warhammer TV. That may be a better way to do it later, but yeah, we'll see. I think the next a video that I'm going to do as far as like the workbench how-to videos is going to be gun bluing, or like the heat on gun metal. You see a lot of people do, but I'm going to do mine using only brush techniques. I practiced a little bit on my Redemptor. I think it came out pretty well, and so I'll show how to do that, or how to accomplish that without an airbrush. Because the easiest way is with an airbrush, but I know not everybody has access to an airbrush or necessarily like money to go out and buy a new airbrush or anything. So I'll kind of give a technique on how you can achieve that effect with like brush and washes. So look forward to doing that. All right, guys. Well, until next time.